The Vatican reports that about 600,000 people attended Pope Francis' Mass in East Timor, nearly half of the country's population. Vatican spokesperson Matteo Bruni cited local organizers' estimates for the crowd size at Tasitolu Park and surrounding areas, the same location where St. John Paul II celebrated a historic Mass in 1989. The crowd size, including some attendees from Indonesia's West Timor, approximates half of East Timor's population of 1.3 million, making it the largest papal event relative to population size. Pope Francis is visiting East Timor as part of his Asia tour. This is a breaking news update. Tasitolu, East Timor East Timorese gathered in record numbers at a seaside park for Pope Francis' Mass, held at the site where St. John Paul II celebrated during the struggle for independence from Indonesia. The park was covered with yellow and white umbrellas, colors of the Holy See flag, as attendees shielded themselves from the sun. Water trucks provided occasional relief. An announcer shouted "Viva Papa Francisco" as Francis arrived to cheers. Tasitolu, once a site where Indonesian troops disposed of bodies during their occupation, is now known as the Park of Peace and features a statue of John Paul II to commemorate his 1989 visit. The Polish Pope condemned Indonesia for human rights abuses and supported the Catholic Timorese. John Paul II's visit drew attention to Indonesia's oppressive rule, which resulted in up to 200,000 deaths over 25 years. On Tuesday, Francis celebrated Mass at the same site, encouraging the nation 22 years after its 2002 independence. East Timor, also known as Timor-Leste, remains one of the poorest countries, with about 42% of its 1.3 million population living in poverty, according to the UN Development Programme. Timorese are deeply religious, with 97% Catholic. They turned out in large numbers to welcome the first pope to visit as an independent nation. Dulce Maria Teresa Freitas, 44, who arrived from Baucau 7 hours early, expressed joy that the Pope's visit brings blessings to their land and people. Pope Francis also visited a school for disabled children in Dili, where he was warmly received. He emphasized that caring for children with health needs teaches us to be cared for by God. Government estimates put the number of registrants for the Mass at around 300,000, but President José Ramos Horta anticipated 700,000, with the Vatican forecasting up to 750,000 attendees, approximating half of East Timor's population. People began lining up before dawn to enter Tasitolu Park, about 8 kilometers from downtown Dili. Roads were congested, and many walked despite the crowded sidewalks. The temperature was 31 degrees Celsius 88 degrees Fahrenheit with high humidity. Alfonso de Jesus, who traveled from Baucau, described the Pope as a shepherd reflecting Jesus. De Jesus was among the 100,000 who attended John Paul's 1989 Mass, which ended in a riot as police clashed with protesters. Reports from that time detailed clashes between police and protesters. The Pope was unharmed, though concerns about detentions and torture were later raised. De Jesus recalled the event as well organized but marred by a brief riot. Bishop Carlos Simons Balu's efforts to raise awareness about the Timorese plight were notable, but Balu's reputation has been tarnished since revelations of sexual abuse. Sister Maria Josefa from Cape Verde, who has lived in Dili for 5 years, praised Francis for addressing abuse generally. She emphasized the need to correct and support those affected. Francis praised East Timor's progress since independence and encouraged the country to strengthen its institutions and support its most vulnerable. Upon arrival in East Timor, Francis visited Irma's Alma School, where children presented him with a traditional shawl. He highlighted that caring for children with health needs teaches us to be cared for by God. Francis also met with clergy and religious sisters at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, emphasizing the crucial role of women in the Church and their dedication to caring for the needy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.